Welcome, everybody, to a special Christmas Eve episode of Everyday Ethics. And welcome to the early edition, a half hour early, so I can get the heck out of here. I am your host, Michael Liebowitz, and I look forward to spending, although it's a brief period of time, I look forward to spending it with all of you. Remember, we do have super chats and super stickers, and we also have a new video out on the Capitalist Corner, where in the video section, where I have a discussion about anarchy with the great Sheldon Richman. So I wanted to talk maybe today about the ethics of flirting, both when you are in a relationship and not in a relationship, right? For the single people out there, what do you think about flirting? Because if you flirt with somebody whom, then that person does not want to be flirted with, that could create a problem. And if you flirt with someone that wants to be flirted with, that's great. I mean, how else do you get to meet people? I haven't really, I when I got out of prison, I had a girlfriend, and I have a girlfriend now. So I haven't really been out there single and mingle or whatever. I don't know, that's what they used to say, probably something totally different now. But at any rate, I wonder what the ethics are of flirting. What are the what's the etiquette? Also, I wonder what you think about people who are in relationships that flirt. I am a total flirt. I flirt all the time. I don't know if I can talk to women without flirting. It's like part of my DNA, part of my makeup. And my girlfriend knows it. I don't hide it from her. I don't lie. I don't lie to her at all about it. I flirt. I don't cheat. I'm an honest person, but I enjoy flirting. I mean, look, I was in prison for a quarter century. So, being around dudes that long, I enjoy flirting. What say you? Do you guys like flirting? It's funny because one day, who prays for Satan has a nice smile. Jenna Kleem says, for me, it's a little creepy. Jenna, it's creepy when men flirt with you. Is that what you're saying? Also, so one day I was at a restaurant with a friend of mine, and I was telling him how nobody ever picked me up hitchhiking, even though I always picked up hitchhikers when I was young. And I told him that it's sad that no one ever picked me up. So there was a woman next to me, and he asked her, "Hey, would you pick him up?" And she looks at me and she says, "Well, you're cute, but I'm taken." And I'm thinking, like, well, geez, like I wasn't even flirting with her, and she immediately told me how she's taken. So I don't know, like, if you're actually flirting, but when I flirt, nobody ever seems to get upset. Do you get upset if people flirt with you? Teresa Fritz says, I really am a flirt, and my husband didn't mind at all. Respect is the key. Well, Teresa, feel free to flirt with me. I love flirting. It's very, very fun, and I don't see the harm in it as long as you say, respect is the key. I agree with that 100%, that you have to be respectful. You don't want to be a creep. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want that. And if it ever, came to it, I have no problem in saying, yes, I have a girlfriend. I'm starting this early today because I'm going to my girlfriend's house for Christmas Eve. So yeah, I wonder, what do people think about flirting? I'm interested. Teresa Fritz says that, Jenna, it's not creepy for you to flirt. Jenna thinks it's creepy. She says she's old, so that's a creepy thing. I don't know. I mean, Jenna, if you're out there and you're flirting with 20-year-olds, maybe, but I think flirting is really fine. Remember something. Again, and we have to constantly come back to this. We're talking about an egoistic ethic, about what is best for you. And of course, that doesn't mean that you trample the rights of other people, and it doesn't mean that you go out of your way to make people uncomfortable. But if you enjoy flirting and the people with whom you're flirting don't mind it, then I think it's good. I think it's healthy. I think it's fun. And then that's my take on it. So I wonder what do all of you think? And by the way, what are you guys doing tonight for the Christmas Eve festivities. As I said, I'm going to my girlfriend's house. Her mom will be there, her sister, her brother, her nieces will be there. A lot of people there. I'm not big on being around a lot of people, but I'll do it sometimes on some occasions. But sometimes I'm standoffish. I don't like to talk, and people, oh, he doesn't talk, and but over here I won't have that issue. I may stop by my cousin's as well, and she lives not very far from there, and I absolutely adore my cousin. She's really a wonderful, wonderful person. So I'll be stopping by there to spread the Christmas cheer. Come on. Okay. Who prays for Satan? Persephone says, as long as you're not being creepy about it, I think a little bit of friendly flirting is fine. Well, I hope Persephone, because I flirt with Persephone all the time. All the time. And despite what I happen to say on the Rational Egoist, Persephone really doesn't flirt back, which is okay with me. I don't mind, but I like to flirt. Jenna says she's batting her eyes at me because I'm a handsome young man. I am absolutely honored and flattered, Jenna. Thank you so much. Audience, I need some ethical questions, right? I was just talking about this earlier, on the Capitalist Corner, on how difficult it is to do a solo show like this and just talk without any questions from the audience. So ask your ethical questions, your ethical dilemmas, bring them. You could ask me other questions if you want, about my life, about what I'm doing, what I think is right and wrong. That's cool too. Who prays for Satan says, I don't like to talk, and I have at least 5 separate shows where talking is my whole job. No, you're misunderstanding. I love to talk. I especially love to talk about ideas. What I do not like, generally speaking, is mundane small talk. I don't like when there's the obligation to speak. So people start talking about things that nobody really cares about, but they just want to break the uncomfortable silence. That I'm not a fan of. If somebody wants to discuss politics or religion, let's go. Let's have it out. Let's debate. Let's have a fun time. I like to debate. I like to argue so much about, maybe it was last Christmas Eve. I don't know. I don't know when it was, but I was over my cousin's house. And my uncle was there, and they started to argue about golf, a sport that I don't follow and I don't know anything about. Yet I felt the need to get involved in the discussion. Like, I wanted to know the two sides so I would know which side to take, and then I can get in there and start arguing. Maybe that's a sickness. I don't know. I've always liked to argue. No Name says Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, No Name. You are a great part of this show. You all really are, great pieces of this show. Persephone says, I have 5 shows. So let's see. I've got the Rational Egoist podcast. I do Self-Made Soul with Mark on Saturdays. So that's 2. Right? I do the Capitalist Corner every day, right here on this channel, and I do this show every day. I count 4, Persephone, so I'm sorry, but I think you might have got that wrong. Jenna Kleem says, is it unethical to bring up end-of-life wishes at Christmas dinner? Look, I'll get real serious with you right now. I've had in life 3 people that close to me commit suicide: my mother, my aunt, and my best friend. I said Capitalist Corner, Persephone. So I am absolutely for the right of people to take their own lives if they don't want to be on this planet anymore. That is their choice. That is up to them, and it's nobody else's business to forcibly prevent them from doing so. Now, I mean, you're out for dinner. You're at Christmas dinner. I don't know if that's the appropriate time. I mean, why damper everybody else's time? I don't know that it's necessarily unethical, but it's certainly ill-mannered. I don't see how it benefits you. So in that sense, it is unethical because it's not likely to produce a good result for you at the Christmas dinner. But I mean, at the same time, if you've got to get affairs in order, maybe, set up a time for a later date to do it. That I think would be fine. Who prays for Satan? I read the thing and I know it's Persephone and I don't connect them right away. She says, what about the thing I do with James on objectivism, the philosophy of Ayn Rand? Ooh, she went for the win, but sorry, Persephone, that takes place on the rational egoist. Persephone says, what is your opinion on shock collars for dogs? Because a streamer has just caught huge flack for using a shock collar on his dog. For basically, well, I'm not for torturing dogs, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, generally speaking, animals don't have rights. Let's just put it out there and be honest. Animals don't have rights. At the same time, I think there's something a little twisted about cruelty to animals. But if you're trying to train a dog and that dog is recalcitrant and the only way to do it is a shock collar, and the experts say, look, this isn't going to, inflict much pain, just enough pain to train the dog, then maybe, I personally wouldn't want to do it. I would not want to put a shock collar on a dog, but I don't know that I could justify that in the sense that I'd be judging other people for not doing it. So that's basically my answer to that. But it's an interesting question. I love ethical questions that have to do with animals. And speaking of Jim Valiant and I actually did an episode on the rational egoist about whether animals have rights. And we ultimately concluded, no, they don't. Maybe some arguments can be made for nascent rights or, inchoate rights, something like that. But no, they don't have rights because they don't have the fundamental capacity that gives rise to rights. They don't have a moral capacity. They don't have a rational faculty. They don't have free will. And those are the things that ultimately give rise to ethics. And ethics is what gives rise to rights. Katrin Kohler says, I'm late due to celebrating Christmas because in Germany, we do the Christmas exchange on Christmas Eve already. Oh, that sounds good. What's everyone doing for Christmas? Tell me in the chat. I'll share it up here. We'll talk about it. We'll have a nice discussion about it. All my life, I've never been cruel to animals, which, people say that people, a lot of times they say violent people started off being mean to animals. I've loved animals my whole life. I'd never be mean to them, never be cruel to them. I just think there's just so much fun. They're all, a lot of them are cute. Some of them not so much. I don't like rats. Like rats give me the creeps. But you know what gives me the creeps even more, and this has nothing to do with ethics, but it's my show, so I guess I can talk about whatever I want. Bats. Bats creep me the hell out. Especially because they seem so out of control when they're flying. I think they're going to bump into me. I do not want a bat bumping into me. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. No Name says that, I'll show you. Your streams are the best part of my day. So thank you. I'm grateful that I found you folks. And she gave €5. Thank you, No Name. We are very happy that you have found us as well. Oh, Jim Valiant is here. He says bats are flying rats, and I think he's correct. Jim, can you tell me here, I responded to your email. Can you just give me the affirmative if you've gotten it? Just let me know. And maybe come up with a good ethical question, Jim. You're good at these kind of things. Ethical questions are great. I'm trying to think of one. I was in it was the time when Melissa was in the hospital, and I was okay, Jim. Awesome. So and I was leaving the parking lot and I scraped the car. And I was like, oh man, like I was going broke as it was. I was unemployed because Melissa was the breadwinner. I was taking care of her son. And I could have easily left. I mean, nobody was going to see, nobody was going to know, but I couldn't do it. So I went, and I didn't have a pen. So I went and tracked down pen and paper, and I left a note on the woman's windshield, gave her my information, and, apologized. Then I reported the incident to the security people there. And the woman got back to me and she said, I'll be in touch once I find out how much it costs. And she was very impressed that I, did that. And I was surprised that she would be so impressed by that because it just seemed to me the right thing to do. And it occurs to me, like, do people do stuff like that? Like a lot of people will back into somebody and take off, or mess up someone's property and leave if they can get away with it. That seemed crazy. The woman ultimately never contacted me ever, so she must have paid for it herself. Which that's I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I appreciate it, but I do wonder, like if that happened, would you leave if you scraped someone's car? Would you just leave? I think that's a very rotten thing to do. I wouldn't want someone to do that to me, and that's one of my principles: is I do not want to be a hypocrite, so I don't do things to people that I don't want done to me. Katrin Kohler says we usually have dinner with the family on Christmas Eve and exchange some gifts, and we have 2 holidays after. So usually at one of those, we go out for dinner or lunch to a restaurant. All right. Anyone else? What does anybody else do for Christmas? And what are your thoughts on what I mentioned? Oh, Jenna is getting an infusion, so she'll be sleeping tomorrow. Well, get some rest, Jenna. Get your spirits up, get that spryness back in your step so that you can join us again on Friday when we will be back, of course, on the Capitalist Corner on here. We will be doing it all in doing it well. At least I think so. At least I think we do it well. No Name is sorry because that Jenna's getting an infusion. But so yeah, so that we got a couple questions out there, right? We got the question about flirting and whether flirting is unethical, whether you're in or out of a relationship. We've got do you just leave the scene of a hit and run if you scrape somebody's car or you mess up somebody's property? FF Mormani, who I will be interviewing soon. I have not forgotten you. I promise you. In the new year, I will be reaching out and I will be interviewing you, FF Mormani. She says she never received a note from anyone who has scraped my car. Wow. That's terrible. I can't comprehend that. I just don't like nothing in me I would feel so horrible. I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. I could not do that to somebody's automobile and then just leave as if nothing happened. The damage to my conscience would be so much worse than the damage than what I would have to pay for that car. She says also, FF Mermani, I don't think my parents have ever received notes for their car scrapes either. Is that a thing? Do people get scraped all the time? You've been scraped, your parents? Like, I didn't even know this was a big thing. I thought this was a rare occurrence that people, get their cars scraped. Wow. So that's something else. What would you do? What do you do if they don't tell you about it? Do you call the police? Do you just suck it up? How do you handle that? My car's all scraped up anyway, so I don't really. Driving in New York City, that would explain it. Yeah, I mean, my car's scraped up. I wouldn't even notice. But then again, I don't notice things anyway. I am not a visual person. I'm verbal, to the hilt. But I am not the person, like, I don't notice things in my field of vision. People will tell me, you didn't see that. No, I didn't see anything. Persephone says it's pretty normal here to get back to scrapes on the car in the parking lot where someone smashed their door into yours. Well, that just sucks, doesn't it? My goodness gracious, that sucks. That's terrible. Oof. What do you think about, how about this one? Here's something else. What do you think about people that are very literal? Because I'm a very literal person myself. But I find that there's people that are much more literal than I am. And sometimes it annoys me. So I wonder how much I annoy people when I'm literal. Jim Valiant says minor hit and runs go largely unreported, hard cases to investigate, really immoral. So what are your thoughts on honest, highly selective polyamory? Wow. Well, Jim, you're going to come on here and we're going to discuss romantic love and sex. If it's honest and it's highly selective, I personally can't find an argument against it. I just can't do it. I mean, if everybody's consented and if it's highly selective, then I see nothing wrong with it at all. I personally, my psychological makeup is such that I couldn't do it. For one, I would feel incredibly guilty just doing it on my own, but also I couldn't have somebody else having sex with my girlfriend. Like, that would drive me nuts. I couldn't No, 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 no way I could handle it. For whatever reasons. I mean, there's cultural stuff. There's stuff that I've absorbed from osmosis, but that's just not something for me. But look, if people want to do it, I don't have an ethical reason they shouldn't. If they were being promiscuous about it, yeah, well, then that kind of switches things up a bit, Jim. But Jim, you are definitely coming on here. We are going to do a series on sexual ethics over here once you're feeling better. How are you feeling, Jim? Anyways, you feeling better? I certainly hope so. Jenna has her eyes. She's looking. I think Jenna has the eyes out when she heard about the polyamorous sexual relationships. Am I right, Jenna? Is that what got the eyes from you? Let me know. So we got a lot of things we're talking about here. Now we're talking about polyamory. We're talking about hit and runs. We're talking about flirting. Jenna seems to be a big fan of the polyamorous relationships. I don't know if this is just a continuation of her flirting with me that she was doing earlier. You never know about these things. So yeah, when a bit better, but his face is swollen. He can barely speak. Jim, that sucks. Can everybody wish for Jim to get better soon? We need a healthy Jim Valiant. For my own selfish reasons, I need a healthy Jim Valiant because I need my show with him to do the objectivity section of OPAR. That's the next section that we will be working on. If you like this show, you will love that show. I think that show, when Jim and I do our breakdown of OPAR from a self-improvement perspective, it's really, really great. Oh, look at that. FF Romani says, I hope you feel better, Jim. I hope so too. Back to the cruelty to animals thing. I find there's something especially despicable and cowardly about somebody that would abuse an animal. I really do. Like, I just think it's like a child. I find it very off-putting. Now, at the same time, look, I'm not saying if you're a parent and you spank, I don't know where I would cross the line. I personally would never spank a child. I would never, ever do it. I don't really see the point in it, but I'm not the spanking police. So maybe it's effective. Maybe it's not harmful, whatever. But personally, I wouldn't do it. Where does the audience, where do you guys fall on spanking? Is spanking okay? Is it not okay? Do you find it reprehensible? I find child abuse, animal abuse, that sort of thing. I find it all very, very gross and off-putting to really a high degree. But that's the abuse stuff, to be honest. So that's not an everyday ethics things. Like, if you're at the point in life where you think it's moral to abuse somebody, that's an issue. I like sort of edge cases, things like if you're a little spank on the butt, is that wrong? Is it right? Those are the types of conversations I like to have because they're realistic and because a lot of people face them. A lot of people deal with that stuff. What do you think about tipping? I remember when I was a kid, the tipping was 15%, but now it seems like they don't even give you that option. It's supposed to be 20. Jenna, you're the best. Yeah, I tip, I generally tip, but I don't know if I'm a fan of the 20% upgrade in tips from the 15%. I don't know what was wrong with the 15%. Jim says better ways to discipline kids. I tend to agree. I'm not a fan of the spanking. But I'm not going to condemn somebody or pass a strict moral judgment on someone because they think spanking is okay. There are places, things that I've seen where I would definitely draw the line. I think that one, for any type of discipline, whether it be for a child or for, inmates, whatever, it has to be consistently applied. It has to occur immediately after the offense. Right? Because the person has to make the clear connection why they are being punished. It has to be clear and it has to be consistent so that they know that every time they do this, it's going to follow with a punishment. That's how behavior changes. One of my biggest critiques of the prison system is the inconsistency. The amount of times you can actually get away with things far outweighs when you're going to get caught for it. So it's pointless. FF Mormani says a lot of restaurants are now automatically adding 20% without advertising that they do this in advance. I might get pissed if that happened to me. Like if they did that and didn't ask, I think I'd be pissed if they didn't tell me at least and make it clear. The tips are virtue being recognized. I enjoy rewarding service, thus they ought to be totally voluntary. I'm with Jim Valiant on this one. Totally voluntary. I'm with Jim Valiant on most things, except for I don't want to get the swollen face and the mouth pain. Interestingly, the last time I was with Jim Valiant, I had the mouth pain and the swelling. So, maybe I don't think I passed it on to him, but nevertheless. Persephone says, I think a lot of parents also don't know what is normal for kids and what behavior is naughty for the age group versus what is normal learning process. Yeah, I think parents should learn that stuff, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, you ought to know what you're doing. You're taking a life into your hands, and it's up to you to cultivate it and to, help it grow, mature, and learn. And I think people should know that type of stuff if they're going to have children. It just seems like it's something you should be doing, right? Jenna Clean does not want taxes on tips. I don't either. FF Mermani wants to read reviews to see if people mention that. I got a question, not really an ethical question. Just somebody told me recently that they went to a restaurant and the prices weren't advertised, and they ate, and then the bill was far more expensive than what they expected. I've never been somewhere, but I've never been to fancy restaurants where the prices aren't listed. Is that a normal thing? And are you not supposed to ask ahead of time? Because if I go to a restaurant and there's no prices, hey, what's the price here? I need to know. Thank you, Jim. You are right back at you. Jim is a friend to be proud. I'm very proud to have. And what the hell was I talking? Oh, Reese restaurants. Is that a thing? Like they don't? Yeah, it's normal for fancy places. And would it be considered a lack of etiquette to ask them for the price of what the meal is going to cost? Because it seems like, Jesus, yeah, I want to know. I'm not going to just go and at the end you spring it on me. That seems a bit ridiculous. That's just my take on it. Well, as we wrap up this show, the last show before Christmas, Jenna says, "Who cares? Ask." Well, I would, but I'm curious. Persephone says, "I've personally never been to a restaurant where prices aren't listed somewhere, and I've been to some fairly fancy places." Jim says, "If you have to ask, maybe you shouldn't be there, Jim." I can finish that sentence. All right, so Christmas Eve and Christmas are upon us. And with that, I just want to give a heartfelt Merry Christmas to the audience. Thank you all so much for tuning into this show every day. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it, how much I love conversing with you. It's really wonderful. And I hope that we get to continue to do this for some time going forward. I hope that we have the best conversations, and I hope that all of us grow together. I'm going to cut out. It's a minute and a half early. Well, let me just say some things. Check out my podcast, The Rational Egoist. Check out the show that I do with Mark, The Capitalist Corner. You can go to Mark Pellegrino's Patreon and check out the Self-Made Soul show that we do. But it's also the non-live editions are released a few weeks following our discussions. They're released on regular YouTube at Mark Pellegrino's YouTube. Check those out. Check out the Capitalist Corner. Please keep listening. Please help me to grow this brand. That's what I want to do. And by brand, I mean, I'm the brand here for me. I want to grow the Capitalist Corner. Yes, I want to grow the Rational Egoist. I want to grow the Self-Made Soul, but I also want to grow my own personal brand of Michael Liebowitz. Thank you all so much. Merry Christmas, and I will see you on Friday. I promise.